What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Happy 10-Bit Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. I am Perry, the host of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. And, of course, this is 10-Bit Live. And you made it through another week, didn't you? Maybe just barely. Maybe you're feeling good. Maybe you're like me and you can't believe that we're already halfway through January. But here we are. We've done it, folks. We've done it. Stacy, 4-Leaf Whiskey. Cheers, Perry and everyone. Good to see you. Sugar Kitty, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Don Nishida, hello there, Perry. Hello to you, Don. I hope you're doing well. I feel like it's been a long week. I feel like it's been a long time since I've streamed. And you know what? It's just been a week. But there's been so much that's happened this week. It's been a busy day. I should have filled my water up before I came down. It's all right. I might have to run and fill up my water in a little bit. But we'll get there. We'll get there. It's fine. Everything's fine. Either way, it's good to be here. Good to have you along for the ride. And, yeah. If you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for, thank you so much for being here. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel. Go follow on social media at My Bourbon Pod. Leave a comment down below, too, if you're watching on the replay. And thanks for being here if you are live. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to cover tonight that we will get to here in just a bit. But as far as what's been going on in the world, Whiskey Morgue, what's going on, man? My goodness, it's good to see you in here. The Canadians are taking over. I mean, there's one Canadian right now. If Andrew West shows up, that'll be two. I was scarfing down dinner right before I hopped on, so haven't had a chance to pour anything yet. But I need something. I need a sip of something. Maker's Cast strength it is. Brett Venata. Evening, folks. Cheers. Good to see you. WP. Cheers, Perry and friends. Oh, Wilmington Piper. I hope you're well. Hope you're Wilmington Piper. I feel like my camera's being weird. Maybe not. I don't know. It's fine. Everything's fine. As far as what's been going on in the world of your boy, new grandpa, congratulations, WP. This is very exciting. Huge congratulations to you. What is the length of time when it's okay to wish people a happy new year? I would say maybe the first week. I'd say the first week of the new year, and then after that, it's a little weird. After that, it feels a little strange. So if somebody wished you happy new year in the past, week, honestly, in the past 9 days, I would say it's okay to feel a little strange about it. February is out then. Got it? Yeah. What? February would be an odd time, I feel like, to wish somebody a happy new year. Old Granddad Bonded for my starter tonight. I have not bought a bottle of Old Granddad Bonded in a long time, and now I feel like I need to because that sounds awesome. If somebody came up to me in February and said, "Hey, Happy New Year," I would assume that they've been in a coma. Or that their friends and family played a massive prank on them. And they think that they're like a month behind everybody else. Last day for holiday season is traditionally Three Kings Day. Epiphany, Burns Night is well out. Yes. Or they could be following the Lunar New Year calendar. That is a good point, too. That is a very good point. I forgot about Lunar New Year. I did indeed forget about that. So when could just be Orthodox, yeah. Before we go too far, I want to talk about next week's stream. We haven't even started on this week's stream. But I had this idea, and it's something that we typically do when things happen in the world, and we want to make sure that we are helping folks out the best that we can to the best of our abilities when things do happen, of course. But in lieu of the fires in Southern California, next week we will be using the Timbip Live stream to raise money for victims of the fire. I have not exactly decided how I want to do that just yet, whether it will be going to one family through a GoFundMe or through mutual aid. I've got a couple ideas. I think it would be fun for us to, as a community, adopt a family. Raise a bunch of money and try to help them out. There's a list that I've got open on my browser. Excuse me. That shows families that have, had everything taken from them through the fires, and there are plenty of these folks who have not, had anything met on their GoFundMe, so might try to for the fundraiser, for our fundraiser, excuse me, adopt a family and just raise money for them directly. But anyway, next week's stream, we will be doing that as a fundraiser for the folks in Shenanigans. What's up? Hope you're well. Good to see you. We will be doing that as a fundraiser. So anyway, there will be bottle and sample giveaways as well. We'll probably do some merch giveaways too. From Tim Bip Shop, bourbonshop.threadless.com. If you have not seen that. For folks on YouTube, Shenanigans is over on Twitch. So I'm not just saying a random name, but it is good to see you, my friend. But anyway. That is that. I just wanted to go ahead and make you all aware of that. Prepare yourselves for it. I'll post about it on social media as well in the coming days. Want to try to get some friends on board so we can push this as much as we can, so we can help some folks out and do our best as we typically do when people are in need. And I talked about some other ways that you can help on this week's episode of the podcast. So if you have not checked it out, go listen to this week's episode. It's a good one. We reviewed the newest edition of the Rare Character Limited series bourbon. Wait, Rare Character Limited release bourbon. Batch 3. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. But go check it out if you haven't done so already. Brewmaster, what's going on, buddy? How we doing tonight? Doing pretty well. I'm a little tired. This week is kind of taking it out of me, I'll be honest with you. But I can't complain too much. Got a roof over my head. I'm not too cold anymore. You know, things are starting to warm up in Lexington. Marginally. But regardless, that's enough yapping. I have yapped plenty, I feel like. We're going to get to, now, the news. We're going to kick things off by talking about the newest CEO for Pinhook Bourbon. Kyle Whippert, what's going on? That was a good episode. Helps when there's a good bourbon to review. RCLR 3 is a good one. Hope everyone's doing well. Kyle, it's good to see you, brother. Thanks for being here again. If you noticed in my initial post, I accidentally put that Penelope was had had hired a new CEO. I corrected that. It's Pinhook, actually. Anyway, getting into it. CJS Beverage doing business as Pinhook and Rye and Sons. Pinhook Bourbon and Rye and Sons announced that it has named John Scarborough to the post of CEO, having raised $10.5 million in new equity funding from private equity and family office investors. He has an extensive background in the spirits industry. He's worked with Still Austin, Ranch Rider Spirits, and he was the president at Deep Eddy Vodka, where he led the brand's expansion to more than 14 million cases. And over the course of 24, he was the senior advisor to outgoing CEO Alice Peterson to develop Pinhook's growth strategy and raise the capital to support it. Under his leadership, Pinhook will significantly expand the sales and marketing teams and increase investment in distribution and consumer engagement. For my first introduction, I could see that the Pinhook Bourbon and Rye and Sons, that is a mouthful of a name. Pinhook Bourbon and Rye and Sons. Brands were special, Scarborough said in a news release. The team's passion and the massive opportunity to introduce both brands to new consumers made me want to be a part of the journey. I'm thrilled to be named CEO and help CJS reach its full potential. After working with John during the last year, I've become increasingly convinced he has the ideal experience and insight to help us take the next step as a company. Peterson, who has moved into an executive chair role at CJS Beverage and will continue to support the long-term strategic direction at both Pinhook and says. Blah, blah, blah. We couldn't have built Pinhook or this company without Alice's strategic vision and dedication. While we all know we had something special to offer the market, Alice's leadership has helped establish Pinhook bourbon as important parts of the American whiskey landscape. Congratulations, first of all, to John. Very cool. I think what's notable about this, too, is that yes, John has experience not just within spirits, but it's not concentrated within bourbon. And largely for the folks who are building bourbon brands, building whiskey brands, you're not necessarily, you don't have to have the qualifications of being a bourbon expert or somebody who has, a long history of selling bourbon or whiskey to be in this kind of leadership position. So whether that will continue to be true, as the market is ever shifting right now, and the landscape of production is changing too, which of course we will get to in just a moment. We'll see. All that being said, congratulations to John. Now, this caught me by surprise this week. I was not ready for it. Interested in seeing what they do once the vertical series runs its course. Me too. Because it's definitely a series with an expiration date. And Joseph Brazos here. What the hell are you all doing here? What are you doing here, Joseph? Good to see you. But anyway, interested in seeing what they do once the vertical series runs its course. One of the things that Pinhook is not particularly well known for is finishing. I'm sure they've got finishing up their sleeves before too long. I don't know if that's going to be their, immediate move after the vertical series is over, but I wouldn't be surprised if within the next couple of years we see more of a focus, not a focus necessarily, but we see an introduction into their product line with some finished products. It's the way of things. I'm watching the sun vanish behind the mountains. That sounds amazing. Whiskey Wisdom, hello. Cheers, everyone. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Moving right along to the news, or the reveal, rather, this week of something that I was not anticipating. Because we had heard kind of rumblings. They did do... Also, Max, what's up? Good to see you. They did do a collaboration with a producer out of Australia this past year, which could indicate their next steps. Let's pull this up. Collaboration number 3. Is this what it was? Pinhook was founded with the ethos of sourcing great barrels, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's Australian whiskey. Oh, really? So branching out and doing something that's not just American whiskey. And they actually use Starward too. And then aged in red wine barrels. How? How different for Pinhook. What was it, like 114 proof? Interesting. Did not realize that was a thing. Thank you, Max, for bringing that up. Anyway. Jack Daniel's 14-year-old. It has been bottled, and I knew that it had been bottled. Let me check something real quick. Per my sources, it's supposed to be about $150, $160 a bottle. And there were about $26,000 or 1,000 bottles that were made. And there were rumblings initially, if I remember correctly, that it was going to be about 125 proof. Now, if you notice, this does in fact say on the bottle that it is about 125 proof. It's sitting at 126.3. 63.15%. Almost everything from Oz is aged in wine. Very true. She saw him at a restaurant called Momofuku. That is the name indeed. I keep trying to blow the speck off my phone only to realize it's Perry's cursor. Ooh, there it is. Always wanted to try Momofuku, but David Chang really seemed to have gone commercial. I don't know anything about Momofuku. Anyway, so you might be also wondering, why am I going to Reddit for information about Jack Daniel's 14-year-old? The reason is because I know where this picture came from. It came from Grease from the podcast, who took this picture himself when he was hanging out with Chris Fletcher, the master distiller, at Jack Daniel's, and took a picture of this bottle and put it on his story. Tony back at Donuts, what's up, Momofukus? Hey, brother. But yeah, this is, I know the original source of this picture. The story itself is gone now, so I wanted to find a place where it still existed, and that place is Reddit. Funny enough. Grease? Say no more. I couldn't be more excited for this particular release. I'm sure that we will get to try it on the podcast soon. I don't know if I will find a bottle. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I don't know if we will find a bottle. And if they keep it at 150, 160 as an MSRP, I will more than likely pick one up if I find it. I feel like it's a pretty appropriate price, honestly. Is it just me, or are Jack Daniel's special releases never in Kentucky? I don't think I've ever seen a 10 or 12, so I highly doubt I'll see this one, but this is exciting and will probably crush. I found a 12 somewhere in Kentucky. I don't remember where. It's been a couple years at this point, and I love the 12. I absolutely adore the 12. Which makes me, all the more reason to be excited for the 14, of course. But 26,000 bottle yield is pretty nice. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I really look forward to trying this one. Hopefully we get the media sample with it. If not, we'll work hard to find it. Either way. So from here on out, we'll, this is a couple days old, and I'm sure most of you all know this already. If not, all of you all know that this happened, of course. Let me first say that the way that this was presented to us was so... It felt so much like, and I understand it's a business. They've got to do the things that are best for their business. But it's just like no less of a gut punch for the workers who were directly affected by it. And Joseph is 100% right. This headline sucks balls. This is and I wanted to read their press release first. This is from Brown-Forman. And the way that they phrase it is Brown-Forman announces series of strategic initiatives for growth. Now, we'll just read it. We'll just get through it first, and then we'll talk about this and how it royally sucks. Okay. Brown-Forman Corporation announced today a series of strategic initiatives to position the company for continued growth in the dynamic global spirits market. These initiatives include restructuring the executive leadership team, implementing a workforce reduction affecting approximately 12% of the company's global workforce, and closing the Louisville-based Brown-Forman Cooperage. 12% globally. In 2025, Brown-Forman celebrates 155 years of delivering nothing better in the market. We have achieved this impressive milestone in part because of our relentless focus on evolving our strategy, our portfolio, and our organization to grow and thrive, said Lawson Whiting, President and Chief Executive Officer. Today's announcement will ensure we have the structure and teams in place to continue on this path while also making investments that we believe will facilitate growth for generations to come. I'll be honest with you, I don't care enough to go through the new leadership. So we'll just go right to the workforce reduction. The spin is outrageous. Yes, we want to grow by screwing all of our employees for the mistakes our millionaires made. Yeah. To enhance operational efficiency and agility. I hate that phrase so much. Brown-Forman has made the difficult decision to reduce its global workforce by approximately 12% of its 5,400 employees worldwide. Doing the math, and we'll get to a couple of articles about this in a second as well. Roughly, that's about 600 employees. Brown-Forman is deeply committed to supporting departing employees with comprehensive transition agreements that include severance, outplacement services, and other benefits to help them through this career change. The leadership, who would that be? I guess it's these people. Because they didn't come out of nowhere. Difficult for the employees, not so much for the decision makers. Absolutely. Over 600 fewer jobs equals growth. Screw these guys. Yes. This organizational evolution will simplify and streamline Brown-Forman's structure, allowing it to become a more agile and efficient organization and reinvest in the capabilities, technologies, brands, and people that will drive future growth. Become a more agile and efficient organization and reinvest in the capabilities, technologies, brands, and people. It will reinvest in people by getting rid of people. Folks, we just wanted to let you all know that we're working on the bridge. We're working on the bridge over the we're working on the most important bridge, right? And the best way for us to work on this bridge, is we are taking away 12% of the support beams on the bridge, so that the remaining 88% of the support beams on the bridge are going to be doing a better job to keep the cars going over the bridge and ensure that their safety is our main goal, so that they can get safely from point A to point B. Ridiculous. Are you working on the Francis Scott Key Bridge? Yeah. What an embarrassing way to announce you had a mass layoff. Stakeholders are pleased, though. You're laid off. Congrats on your career change. People being their executive team. Yeah. Brown-Forman will close its Louisville-based barrel make. And this is the other part, too. This is the thing. This is the thing. This is the thing, right? This is the thing that really made people hurt. Aside from the 12% workforce reduction, it was also that their historic cooperage is closing. And so we can talk about, the material aspect of this, which really is the people who are having to, yes, find new work, find new labor, being affected not just by the bourbon economy, the bourbon market, so drastically changing, but also the fact that there is a more intangible thing that we are losing, which is this historic cooperage closing down. So Brown-Forman will close its Louisville-based barrel-making operation, Brown-Forman Cooperage, by April 25th, 2025. So just over 3 months from now. This closure, which will impact approximately 210 hourly and salaried employees, is part of the overall 12% workforce reduction. Brown-Forman will offer severance, outplacement services, and benefits consistent with their terms of employment. How nice of them. Moving forward, Brown-Forman will source barrels from an external supplier to ensure a steady supply of the same high-quality barrels at a competitive price. Now, great. Now, here's the Jack Daniel's sold their cooperage last year as well, right? Why didn't they just sell this cooperage? I guarantee you someone would buy that asset. Absolutely, they would have. They're selling the assets of the... Wait, what? What's this mean? They're selling the assets of their cooperage? So just in case you were worried about their top dollar, just in case you were concerned that Brown-Forman was firing people for no reason, They've done the work for you, folks. They've done the work for you. They have given you the exact dollar amount that they are saving by letting go of these 210 individuals and closing down this cooperage. Collectively, these actions are projected to deliver approximately $70 to $80 million in annualized cost savings, a portion of which is expected to be reinvested to accelerate growth. In addition, the company will receive more than $30 million in proceeds in connection with the sale of the cooperage assets. So overall, little old-fashioned, what's up? The people being laid off sucks, and this also has me wondering if they're getting rid of Cooper's Craft as a brand now, too. They might be. Someone is still likely to buy the assets. The people are out there. The need is there for sure. The company expects to incur approximately $60 to $70 million in aggregate charges for severance and related costs associated. Aww. Jeff Wack, cheers again, or hello again, whiskey friends. Hello to you, Jeff. That guy is whack. But fear not, friends. Fear not. Feel bad for him, too. The company expects to incur approximately $60 to $70 million in aggregate charges for severance and related costs associated with the workforce reduction and cooperage closing. Isn't that just the worst? Isn't that just the worst? I want to express my sincere gratitude to our employees, particularly those impacted by these changes, for their dedication and contributions to Brown-Forman. We are committed to supporting them through this transition and are confident that these strategic initiatives will ensure the company that they're leaving behind, by the way. We appreciate these people that we have to let go, and we're confident that what we're doing by shutting the door in their face will help us to survive. We're confident that these strategic initiatives will ensure the company endures for generations to come. Isn't that great? Our hobby is in for a rough patch. You remember what I said a couple weeks ago? The people's material conditions are not being met. You can't keep getting away with it. Breaking Bad meme here? Yes. If I understand this, they're saving $80 million by firing them, but paying them $70 million in severance. True, but don't forget, Tony. They'll receive more than $30 million in proceeds by selling the assets. Chris, what's up? We've missed you. I miss you all too. Our friend who works for Brown-Forman over here said there's a large number of redundancies, but the brand ambassadors are safe at least. Okay. I understand the redundancies thing, but it doesn't change the fact that this spin of we have to let people go so that our top brass can still take home top dollar. It doesn't change the fact that this is just being done for shareholders. It doesn't change the fact that they're facing these tariffs, these crippling tariffs that they are about to incur. And so the people who are making these tough decisions to let people go can still make the same amount of money. You know what I mean? Brian Bikey, Abandoned Bourbon, what's going on? We appreciate all of our employees' sacrifices, but screw you if you think our CFO $20 million a year jobs are going to be on the line. Yes, exactly. Did someone say money? This is the other side of the looming pop, the looming failure of the bourbon boom. I would feel so awkward if I were a brand ambassador for them after this. It would be so hard to spin this. It would be so hard to spin this. I talked about this 2 weeks ago. I said that we're seeing people in leadership roles taking more and more heat for their businesses. Are you saying this is a bad time? I'm not saying it's a great time to start your own brand. Brian, what are you telling us? But we're seeing people in these leadership roles taking heat, whether they deserve it or not, for profit margins not being met. But we have to realize, too, that the consumers, with all of the other economic factors, cannot afford to bring bourbon to the table when they can't put bread on the same table. If their material conditions are not being met, whiskey as a luxury item is one of the first things to go. With the slowdown in the U.S., why we cannot get more Brown-Forman, especially old faux products down under, they just get rid of the 80 proof and hopefully bring back in at least 86. I don't think a brand ambassador's job should be to justify CEO business decisions only to prop up the product being sold. True, but that doesn't mean that people won't ask about it. We only get the Whiskey Row series by people like me who import. Next generation is drinking a lot less Jack and Coke, yes. I also feel as if companies will use the excuse of tariffs to increase prices and lay off employees regardless of true impact. This is exactly right. Also, it's a good thing I have enough whiskey to last till the year 2100. I want to talk more about this too. I also feel as if companies will use the excuse of tariffs to increase prices and lay off employees regardless of true impact. Get rid of food, I can live on whiskey. Yeah. I'll just have a beer. That's the same thing as, eating lunch. There will be any number of justifications made. Any number of justifications made for raising prices, for getting rid of employees, other than accepting what is really happening in front of the people who are making these decisions. This will happen. It's happened before. It's inevitable. And yeah, Jeff's right. We're in for a rough patch, man. I can barter whiskey for food if things go Mad Max playing the long game. I'm down. Whiskey is a liquid corn salad. AI has already triggered thousands of layoffs, even though AI is not ready yet. Yeah, and that's not even talking about, not even talking about the impact that AI has on, the planet, too. This is a sign of things to come. This is not the first or last time that we will hear about firing employees to support a drinking habit or support the company that supports our drinking habit. This is bad. And it's sad too. I mean, it's objectively a sad moment to look at this. to have to look at this and accept the fact that while we're on the cusp of severe economic impact to our wallets, these people are going to have to look for new work. Worse whiskey, higher prices, everyone around saying what happened as if no one saw it coming. Worse whiskey, higher prices, everyone going around saying, what happened? As if no one saw it coming. We would be in trouble in Oz if they added tariffs on top of our import duty. It would be Oz $200 for Jim Beam White, then it's 74 proof. Oh, AI is not about distillery managers. True. In general, though, I will be supporting the small brands I love most in 25. Not ready for the party to be over with these new brands just hitting stride. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. But at the moment, there are a lot of people who want both. Surely we want both. We want to have our cake and eat it too. We want our treats, man. You know? I wanted to talk a little bit about Chuck Cowdery's perspective on this. His article that he wrote for his blog. Brown-Forman no longer makes barrels a historical perspective. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this because holy moly is it small. Brown-Forman started its press release today by, we get it. They're one of the 4 companies that produce about 70% of America's whiskey, a beverage that takes years to make. Can I scoot over it all? No. Leadership changes are routine. The bombshell is the announcement of a 12% reduction in the company's global workforce. That's about 650 people. About 200 of them currently work at the Louisville Cooperage, which will close permanently. Brown-Forman began as a whiskey company and, ironically, a non-distillery producer of whiskey. As the industry changed and making whiskey from scratch rather than buying it made more sense, they became distillers. From the beginning, they really excelled. Where they really excelled was in marketing, especially branding. Old Forester was named for a prominent Louisville physician and marketed as medicine. At least NDPs know who to bother about excess barrels after this announcement. True. Brown-Forman was a leader in developing Western markets for whiskey at a time when most of the nation's population lived east of Louisville. The company stayed in business during Prohibition as a medicinal whiskey supplier. Brown-Forman is still controlled by its founding family, the Browns, and their branches, but it is a public company. As you would expect for a 155-year-old firm, it has gone through many changes. In the 50s, the Browns teamed up with the Motlows to make Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey the leading American whiskey in America and the world, and Jack now challenges Diageo's Johnny Walker for supremacy among whiskeys of all kinds. When the number one bourbon doesn't have the word bourbon on its label, you know you are dealing with branding geniuses. After World War II, Brown-Forman decided to make its own barrels and founded a cooperage not far from its Louisville headquarters. At the time, bourbon was booming. Historically, many distilleries made their own barrels, in some cases on site. When Brown-Forman started its cooperage, not far from its distillery and headquarters, several other distillers were doing the same thing, including Schenley, then the largest U.S. distilled spirits company. Its cooperage was also in Louisville. Fast forward to the late 20th century, the American whiskey industry contracted dramatically in the 70s and 80s, and every distiller except Brown-Forman sold or closed its cooperage. Brown-Forman and likewise Jim Beam had most of their marbles in the American whiskey basket, so the first thing that they had to do was broaden their portfolios. They did that, but in the 80s, that was no longer diversification enough. So Brown-Forman bought some other companies, all luxury goods, positioning them as a mini LVMH. What is interesting is how much workforce it takes for a heritage distiller to make whiskey versus a modern distiller like Bardstown, who set up so much tech and automation. I think what you're hitting on here, Jeff, is the process of heritage brands reinventing their wheel. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick. I'm sorry. Reinventing their wheel and having to introduce, new technology that, if they want to live up to the standards of these new players like Bardstown Bourbon Company, they're going to fall behind a little bit in terms of how many barrels they're putting in their warehouse. And I think you're 100% right. But at the same time, these brands, Chuck just talked about it too. Brown-Forman is still the producer of the number one bourbon brand in the world. And they have maintained for this long this level of workforce. So even if they aren't so automated in the way that somebody like Bardstown Bourbon Company is, it's not entirely necessary, I feel like, for them to reinvent their wheel. If that makes sense, if that tracks. Then fashions changed again. Wall Street no longer liked diversification. Investors wanted pure plays, so Brown-Forman went back to concentrating on its distilled spirits portfolio and most of all its brands. The company has a massive revenue stream just from licensing the Jack Daniel's logo. Brown-Forman always had a policy that its brand had to be either number one in their market segment or number two with a strong shot, and number one. Brands that didn't meet those standards were sold or discontinued. The only exception was Old Forester for sentimental reasons. By the 90s, there were just two cooperages supplying new barrels to the entire whiskey industry, as well as some percentage of the wine industry. The biggest then and now as Independent Stave, ISC, founded by the Boswell family in 1912, and still owned and run by them. The other was Bluegrass Cooperage, owned by Brown-Forman. As the 21st century began, and with it the bourbon boom, Brown-Forman decided to stop selling barrels outside of the company. It needed all it could make for its own hot whiskey brands, which in addition to Jack Daniel's were early times Woodford Reserve and a resurgent Old Forester. Since they no longer needed to hide behind the independent-sounding Bluegrass Cooperage name, they rechristened it Brown-Forman Cooperage. They're number one in the world with Jack Daniel's due to how much of Old Number 7 is drunk down here. At least it's 80 proof, not watered down further like everyone else here. Even Benchmark is 74. That's crazy. The plant they're closing now is in an industrial area just east of the Louisville airport. It includes some open space for letting wood season outdoors, usually for 6 months to a year. The property's footprint is about the same as it was in 1945, and there's no room to expand. Over the years, they crammed as much as they could into that facility, ultimately doubling its output. For probably half of the cooperage's existence, most of that output has been put onto trucks and shipped to Lynchburg, Tennessee. Even as the Kentucky-based brands grew, Jack grew more. In 2014, Brown-Forman opened a new modern cooperage in Alabama, 80 miles from Lynchburg instead of 250. That probably spelled the end for the Louisville facility, but when Brown-Forman decided to sell the Alabama place last year, that signaled the company probably would exit the cooperage business altogether, which it is doing now. Back at the end of the 20th century, when ISC and Bluegrass were the only cooperages supplying whiskey makers, Brown-Forman didn't necessarily want to be in the cooperage business, but neither did it want to be at the mercy of monopoly for such an essential input. So they made and sold barrels. And the other Kentucky distillers bought them for the same reason, even though it meant doing business with a direct competitor. Now, although ISC is the largest and clearly dominant, they don't have a monopoly. They are alternatives. No longer must Brown-Forman be one of them. The way the cooperage business works is this. Although ISC owns some forests, most growers of oak for barrels are independent property owners. They hire independent logging crews to harvest the oak and haul it to the nearest stave mill. There are many stave mills, and they are located near the forest. Although the cooperages don't own the forest or the logging companies, they do own the stave mills. As the name suggests, stave mills cut logs into barrel staves. This is blah, 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 blah. So while it sucks for 200 people who will lose their jobs, and it's sad to see an 80-year-old business close its doors, Brown-Forman is just sticking to its knitting. Brown-Forman is a brand builder. They tried to make "we make our own barrels" a brand attribute, but it didn't resonate. In truth, barrels are a commodity much like corn and rye. Perhaps in the future, they won't even make all the whiskey for themselves. For Brown-Forman, shareholder value is in the brands. Everything else is incidental. So, I want to talk for a second about the manufacturing of consent that is also happening by people who are long-standing, not just long-standing writers in the bourbon world, the whiskey spirits world, but also critics of the spirits world. And it's this notion that, man, this was inevitable, you know, dadgummit, we got it. We had to do it. These people had to lose their jobs. You were not going to get your bourbon. It's just like the grains. It's just like the grains. You weren't going to get your whiskey if we didn't fire these people. Don't you understand? Don't you get it? Don't you see? We had to make this decision. It's like bad parenting. It's like making everything. It's like when a parent makes a mistake and they turn around and they yell at the kid for it. Why was your toy there? Why did I trip on your toy? Everybody around us is just saying this is just how it goes. And I understand this is how it goes as it is, but it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. We just kind of accept it. It's so frustrating that we're treating the workers in this industry as a commodity like we do, and that's the thing. That's the unspoken that's the unspoken rhetoric in here. Barrels are a commodity. The people are being treated as the commodity in this aspect. The people are being treated as the commodity in this instance. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying when the people, whether they're working in the industry or they're the ones who are actually buying the product made by the industry, are the ones that are truly making the industry succeed. But for Brown-Forman, shareholder value is in the brands and everything else is incidental. This is another article. I won't go through all of it because it's quite a bit longer. But this is from Miss Jessica Ann, friend of the show. The end of an era, Brown-Forman closes its Louisville cooperage, and it feels like a personal loss. I'm pouring a Jack and Coke now. this is a bit more to go through because it's a lot to unpack. Justin Deering, they got too greedy with the prices going up beyond inflation. Yes, exactly. Justin, also good to see you, man. I hope you're well. Jessica says, consider this the end of an 80-year era in Kentucky. There's a lot to unpack here, a lot more than I'd like to unpack, but can't. Even though we knew this was coming, seeing it in print hits differently. Honestly, it makes me want to step away from my desk, retreat to the back storage room, and take a moment to mourn the loss of this Kentucky legacy. It's a sad day for the industry as a whole, yet it feels incredibly close and personal because it is. Why the personal sentiment? Sean Holtgrave, what's up, man? Because of Albert Leo Zimlick Jr., my husband's grandfather. He worked there for 44 years. He consistently oversaw the cooperage, ensuring its operation and standards remained a priority. I will link this in the description below if you want to take a deeper dive into this article. It is very good. Jess is a fabulous writer and a wonderful human being, too. And I feel like I've spent so much of this stream focused on this. But I think it's so much more important than just talking about the fact that there were 200 people, or excuse me, 650 employees worldwide that are losing their jobs. But the 200 plus that are losing their jobs because of this cooperage closing too. I was going to pour a Jack Daniel's barrel proof and then did the Homer Simpson when I saw the topping. Are they going to remove the barrel charring display at Old Forester? That would be hilarious if they did. That would be so funny. I grabbed the Bonded and the Bonded Rye because I kind of forgot about that one. I kind of forgot about the Bonded Rye as well. Anyway, before I move on to my Heaven's Door flight, I had to talk about the passing of one of my personal heroes, one of my favorite auteurs of all time, the creator of one of my top 5 favorite shows, David Lynch. The creator of Twin Peaks, the Maverick, the absolute just savant himself. They put out a statement today. It is with deep regret that we, his family, announce the passing of the man and the artist David Lynch. We would appreciate some privacy at this time. There's a big hole in the world now that he's no longer with us, but as he would say, keep your eye on the donut, not on the hole. It's a beautiful day with golden sunshine and blue skies all the way. Dan shook, yeah. I'll read Kyle MacLachlan's little tribute post as well, because it was 42 years ago for reasons. And if you don't know who Kyle MacLachlan is, he's a wonderful actor. He was Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks, a close friend and associate of David Lynch as well. But this is what he wrote. 42 years ago, for reasons beyond my comprehension, David Lynch plucked me out. I'm totally watching Lost Highway tonight now. Yeah, I think I'm going to watch Blue Velvet later. Anyway, 42 years ago, for reasons beyond my comprehension, David Lynch plucked me out of obscurity to star in his first and last big budget movie. He clearly saw something in me that even I didn't recognize. I owe my entire career and life really to his vision. What I saw in him was an enigmatic and intuitive man with a creative ocean bursting forth inside of him. He was in touch with something the rest of us wish we could get to. Our friendship blossomed out on Blue Velvet and then Twin Peaks, and I always found him to be the most authentically alive person I'd ever met. David was in tune with the universe and his own imagination on a level that seemed to be the best version of human. He was not interested in answers because he understood that questions are the drive that make us who we are. They are our breath. While the world has lost a remarkable artist, I've lost a dear friend who imagined a future for me and allowed me to travel in worlds I could never have conceived on my own. I can see him now standing up to greet me in his backyard with a warm smile and big hug and that Great Plains honk of a voice. We talk coffee, the joy of the unexpected, the beauty of the world, and laugh. His love for me and mine for him came out of the cosmic fate of two people who saw the best things about themselves in each other. I will miss him more than the limits of my language can tell and my heart can bear. My world is that much fuller because I knew him and that much emptier now that he's gone. David, I remain forever changed and forever your Kale. Thank you for everything. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. If you've never watched Twin Peaks, I highly, highly recommend it. It's one of my, again, top 5 favorite shows of all time. Lynch. I never knew the man personally. Lynch directed the original Dune adaptation in the 80s. So if you want to see a much more low budget interpretation of the Dune story, it's fascinating. It's not great, but it's something. She's dead, wrapped in plastic. But yeah, he was, I think he was battling cancer. I know he had emphysema. He was terrified of COVID-19. Just a whole slew of things. He smoked for most of his life. Just not in great health towards the end, but just a genius of a man. And hopefully remains to be one of the good ones. So anyway, that's my rest in peace, David Lynch. So anyway, Gary Franchi's here. He said, howdy, y'all. I say howdy, y'all, back to Gary Franchi. I'm ready to drink a little bit more whiskey because I've had one pour since this stream started, and I've been talking so much about, basically workers' rights. And the daggum Brown-Forman Cooperage closing. But I'm gonna do something I haven't done before, and I figured I would try this out, which I've only ever really had like 1 or 2 Heaven's Door products, and now's as good a time as any with the new Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown, starring Timothée Chalamet, being out, which I have not seen yet. I've heard it's fine. If you're a big Bob Dylan fan, apparently it's inaccurate. Have you cleared any more area for others? Wait, have you cleared any more area around your chair for others to stand in there with you? No. There's still a lot of whiskey bottles around me. If I could just clean it up, it will be better. And I could get another chair in here and I could have guests in here. But anyway, yeah, if you're like a Bob Dylan head, apparently A Complete Unknown has some historical inaccuracies, and it's a fairly okay movie. But regardless, I do love Bob Dylan. I love his music. And I had to stop in at Total Wine today to pick up bottles for tomorrow's recording. And I looked over of all places, the rye aisle, and they had this like gift set of 3 bottles. It's their straight bourbon, their double barrel whiskey, and their straight rye finished in sherry casks. So we're gonna do all 3 of these. So I'm curious about them. And like I said, I've only ever really had Heaven's Door once or twice, but never really their. Oh, these bottles are so cute. Never really their core or flagship products. So we'll see what's going on here. And the bourbon is it's a Tennessee bourbon. I don't think it's age stated, but it is 92 proof. And yeah, it's these like 200 ml bottles. They're not huge, but they get the job done, I guess. There's the double barrel whiskey, which is a blend of their bourbon and rye. And then double barrel, this one's 100 proof. I really hate it when you say in the rye aisle, as we have less than a rye shelf over here at most liquor stores. Yeah, I love that we have a rye aisle in our Total Wine. And then last but not least, oh, and by the way, the bourbon is called Revival, the double barrel whiskey is called Revelation, and then their rye whiskey, finished in sherry casks. Okay. Which I'm struggling to open for some reason. I wish more distillers did 200 ml. I'd buy so many to try them. I would too. Was it last week that we talked about all the weird new sizes that are coming out? Because I think it was. How so many of them are like for RTDs and international, or for weird types of wines. Anyway, the Refuge is the last one. Their rye whiskey finished in sherry. This one's also 92 proof. So, oh, and also for anybody who was not here at the top of the stream, I announced that next week's stream, you also have the bourbon section being bigger than most liquor stores here as well. That's true. That's true. Next week's stream will be a charity stream for victims of the LA wildfires. I'm not sure exactly how we will be, or whom in particular we will be doing our donations for, but we will have giveaways for it, including but not limited to bottles, samples, some merch. So tune in for that next week. I'm not done yet, of course. I've still got to do this flight. But I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be doing that next week. So tune back in, please. I'll post about it on social media just to give everybody a heads up at my Bourbon Pod. If you're not following the show already, please go do so. But anyway, let's get into this, shall we? 92 proofs, Tennessee straight bourbon whiskey. Well, it's not Dickel. Does that mean Lucy and Eden being on next week? I don't know if the girls will be on next week. They'll probably still be at Lucy's grandmother's house like they normally are on Thursdays. Could you stop it? It's very fruity. Little bit of grain, kind of a corn sweetness on the nose. Overall, not bad. Give big hugs to the ladies in the house for us. I will absolutely do that, Chris. All right. Cheers. My Lux Row glass. I don't remember getting a Lux Row glass, but apparently I have one. I'd like to donate a bottle for the giveaway, but shipping would have to be limited to the U.S. Yeah. I think that'll be the... Also, well, thank you, Don, for donating a bottle to the giveaway. Should have said that first. Yes, the shipping will be limited to the U.S., unfortunately. As far as, like, bottles and samples. That's interesting. The finish is something. What is that? That is such a strange note. It goes almost like... Why am I getting like a clay note? Like Play-Doh? Like it's fruit and spice and some mint. And then all of a sudden it hits like the back of my palate. And there is just like a ceramic clay note. It's very strange. The finish is not bad. The finish goes a little bit back more towards like a really dark brown sugar. More of the cinnamon area too. But it's good. Overall, it's good. It's different. It's very different. It does not read at all like your typical celebrity bourbon, I guess. Very peculiar indeed. All right, double barrel whiskey. Blend of their bourbon and rye and then double barreled. It kind of reminds me of Four Roses. It's not 4-year MGP enough to be celebrity whiskey. Good point. A very good point, Kyle. I might reach out to my brothers in the Bourbon Mafia to see if there's anything we can add, Perry. That would be awesome. Would really appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, it's a little Four Roses-y, but it's also kind of watered down smelling. Bourbon Mafia sounds dangerously fun. Yeah, it's a Lexington group. They've been running for a long time, too. I do not like this one. It tastes like really young craft whiskey. That is not very good. Ooh. Sorry, Heaven's Door. We have a recent Knob Creek Rye and Russell's Pick and a Jack Daniel's about to come in. That's awesome. Where's the double barrel? I guess it's somewhere up front. Like, I'm getting a little bit more of it up front the second time I had a sip of it, but not nearly what I would anticipate from a barrel finishing process. That's bizarre. Oh, okay. Not the biggest fan there. Maybe their super expensive stuff is where it's at. I did like the bourbon quite a bit, though. I genuinely did. I mean, I haven't had the rye yet, so. I don't know if I'm gonna have the rye. I'm not so sure that I'm gonna have the rye. Might even see what I have bunkered away from the mid of last decade, and if I have multiples, who knows? Jeez, Chris. All right. Oh, this smells sour. Like it smells sour. Like it's gone bad. Clifton Bourbon Bites. Cheers, buddy. I hope you're well. Let me create a new little banner real quick so I don't have to keep saying it. But, oh, my keyboard fell asleep. Hello. There we go. Ordered Chad and Sarah's 2 new Russell picks last night. Oh. Does it smell like a rabid skunk? It doesn't smell great, Dad. Also, Papa Ritter's here. Whiskey sour in a glass? No. Doing okay? How about yourself? I am doing fine. I am doing all right. Hanging in there. I'm a little nervous about drinking this refuge from Heaven's Door. I'm a little bit more than a little bit nervous about it because it doesn't smell like something I should be putting in my body. A rabid skunk was found and eliminated in Lexington the other day. Really? I did not know that. It does not taste as offensive as it smells. I would argue that it tastes a little flat. But it has a very strong smell on the nose. I'm a little The smell the nose kind of comes back around on the finish. Oddly enough. Your sister told me about the situation. I'll have to ask her about it because I'm curious if it was near us because we smelled skunk in the middle of the day. I'm not saying that was skunk. It could have been somebody gardening. But who's to say? I guess it's starting to smell a little bit better. Clifton, have you done this flight? I feel like you have. Gardening in winter, no. It's the... Okay, this packaging is falling apart. Clifton, I'm not sure if you're still in here, but it's the Heaven's Door little 3-bottle gift set. If so, it's been years. I could have sworn you'd done this. Doesn't matter. No, you haven't? Okay. It seems like something you would have done for some reason. Maureen Franchi, hello. The best Franchi has arrived. It is so good to see you. Dad, I'll have to bring these over for you to try. I'm curious what you think. Because they are something. And the nose on the rye is interesting is a nice word for it. Yeah, that's okay. It's just got this really like weird bitter note. Anyone have experience with Remus picks? One of my local stores got their barrel in this week. I have never had a Remus pick, I don't think. If I have, I've forgotten about it, which might not be the best sentiment. I did a stream of these Heaven's Door Rye, Tennessee Bourbon, Double Barrel Whiskey, Master Blenders Edition, Red Breast Finish, and Single Barrel Cask. So you basically did like these, just not in the same like packaging. So that's what I'm remembering is that you did try these. Back in 2021, holy moly. Lord of mercy. I'm a little late to the game here. Yeah. I mean they've got I don't remember if they had names back then or not. But the bourbon's called Revival. The double barrel's called Revelation. And the rye is called Refuge. And we're having a great time drinking all three of them. Honestly, the bourbon is probably my favorite out of the... No, not probably. It is my favorite out of the three. The other two are just so weird. It is confusing, I agree. The double barrel is so strange. It really is like they're trying to cover up an imperfection there. Something's being hidden. Did Dylan name those? I don't know. Weird like Dylan. Yeah. Okay, I'm kind of coming around to the rye as well. Kind of reminds me of Apple Jacks. Like the cereal. Just saw the Bob Dylan movie last night. Thought it was pretty interesting, but didn't live up to the other recent biopics like Rocket Man or Bohemian Rhapsody. I have not seen it yet. I've heard it's fine. I've not heard like glowing reviews of it. I'll still see it, but I get the feeling that at this point that I won't see it until it's on streaming. It's, you know what I mean? I am very busy. Is it a barn that's being hidden? It feels like it. Wait for streaming. We had free tickets to use. There you go. I do still want to see Nosferatu. But it's another one of those where I think I just have I just don't know if I have time. But it is one of those movies where I've been so excited for it. And I know people have said it's not what you wanted it to be and blah 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 blah. Fine. I'm still excited for it. Don't just let me have movies that I'm excited to go see. Okay? I like Nosferatu, but it was too dang long. I've got a movie to see watch The Brutalist. I want to see the Springsteen biopic. They're not even done filming it yet, I thought. With Jeremy Allen White. I think they're still filming it. I recommend that one. I missed this. I recommend that one in theaters if you can. Yeah. This year? Gotcha. Only biopic I like is Walk Hard. That's funny. I like Ray. I think Ray's a good biopic. It's depressing. It's depressing as crap, but it's good. I don't think... I mean, there aren't a whole lot of biopics where I'm like... You know what I love? Elvis was a fun one. I haven't seen Elvis yet. You know what's a great movie that's kind of a biopic, but not really, is Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen Brothers movie from, what was it, like 2012, 2013, with Oscar Isaac. It's a great movie. Dave... Oh, shoot. What was his name? Because it's loosely based on... It's loosely based on the life of a real-life folk singer. And Dave Van Ronk, excuse me. Speaking of them, I just saw No Country for Old Men for the first time a few days ago. Not sure why I put it off so long. I have a lot of blind spots with movies that people are like, you have to see this movie. No Country for Old Men is one of those, even though I know all the, I drink your milkshake memes and whatnot. But That's that movie, right? Isn't I Drink Your Milkshake, No Country for Old Men? Oh, no, that's There Will Be Blood. Never mind. Same year, though. Oh, was that... Sorry, my bad. I'm confusing my movies from 2007 with intimidating leading men. Anyway, I did a little blend of the three. So heads or tails, friendo. There we go. Oh, snap. The blend's really good. The blend of the three is actually excellent. I like that a lot. That's better than, like, each of the individual ones. I like that. All right. Well, folks, I think that just about does it for tonight. I think we're going to wrap it up. Oh, and Clifton's out too. Gotta eat dinner, but talk soon. Cheers, all. Cheers to you too, Clifton. And thank you all so much for tuning in for another Tim Bip Live. Reminder again, next week we're going to be doing a fundraiser stream for the folks in LA for their for relief for the wildfires rather. So don't miss that. I will figure out exactly where we are going to be doing the donation portion of that. Giveaways included as well as part of the evening. But yeah, that does it, I believe. My hair's crazy. I must say, at least it's cooler today at 84 degrees Fahrenheit instead of the 103 yesterday. It's warmer here today than it was yesterday. Yesterday was like, I don't know, low 20s with a wind chill of like 7. Now it's a high of 39. So that's been nice. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much, as always, for being here. I'll see you next week. Until then, though, I'm Perry. This has been Tim Bip Live.